please let me merge. My mom is dead. This week on That Car Show, you asked, we delivered. It's a cruise show and anything goes. SoCal car meetups, new press cars. Dan gets suggestive with the new Mustang. Somehow it's been 25 years of Fast and Furious. We bitch about customer service at luxury car dealerships. Ford gets cheap. And the best year to have walked into a Ferrari dealership. It's That Car Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's That Car Show. It is a cruise show once again. We're all back as a gang. How's everyone doing?
It's so good to see you guys.
It's been a few shows. Yeah,
I know.
In a minute.
Yeah, had some great guests though.
I've had 3 people say to me, "When is the next cruise show?" So here is your answer. It is now and today.
We are here to answer and give you what you want.
Yeah, in all our glory.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. What do the following podcasts have in common? Are you ready?
Ready.
This might take a little bit of thinking, okay? The Carmudgeon Show.
Good show.
The Autocar Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seen Through Glass.
Our friend
Heard of that
Sam.
guy?
Yeah.
Smith and Sniff. That's not an easy one to say after a couple of pints.
Yeah. Out of the UK. Yeah.
My friends at the Dirtfish Spin Rally podcast.
Hey.
And the Car Throttle podcast. What do they all have in common?
I feel like we need the Jeopardy theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few moments later.
Right.
The answer is that they are all not quite as popular as us in Korea.
Hey.
So
Look
shout
at that.
out to our friends in South Korea. Thank you for making us one of your favorites. As Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last.
There you go.
But we're not quite last, but we're definitely not first. But we've got room to grow, and we've got some good competition actually behind us for once.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Shake and bake, baby.
We appreciate it, Korea. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to move on quickly. We're not going to look at the US charts right now because I think it would be a different story. But yeah, it's
Although
good
we
news.
have been doing well there, I would
Doing
say we
pretty
can be
well.
proud of
Yeah.
our performance
Yeah.
there too.
We
So
broke the top 50 the other week.
That's right.
And if anyone knows anything about the US podcast charts, that is a difficult group to break into. So, and I think it was the show with Lynn. So well done to you guys.
well, thank you to our listeners and fans of the show.
It was a
Thanks,
good one,
we-
but you're not going to mention Peru?
We talked about that on another recording, which will either come out before or after this one.
Okay.
But where were we in Peru?
Number one. We're like
Number one.
regularly number one in Peru, which is
We're huge in Peru.
It's a country of 40 million people, and car
40 million
enthusiasts.
people
all.
can't be wrong. That's what I'm saying.
No,
right
that's. I mean, come on.
I love it.
Love you,
Well,
Peru.
thank you to our Peruvian friends.
now. Yeah. And, we gave them the podcast. They gave us Paddington Bear. So it seems like a good deal in my head.
I think it's a pretty fair trade.
Yeah. Yeah. In
You know,
fact,
there's a car connection there, right? You know
No.
that Jeremy Clarkson's mom was the one responsible for bringing the Paddington stories to the masses. I believe the story goes. So
That's
Wow.
right.
now you know.
an
That's
education.
amazing.
I told you they knew their cars. They're
do.
true enthusiasts all. Yeah.
I do. And if we can stay that way for another 2 months, we will dress Ryan up as Paddington Bear for the holiday special.
I mean, if
yeah.
that's not motivation, I don't know what is.
You know, my
Come
whole
on.
body looks just like this. I'm already halfway there, Dad. Kidding.
There's
This
a
is
bear
true.
joke in there somewhere.
This is true. What have we been up to, folks? Have we been doing any driving?
I think there's been a lot of driving going on.
Yeah.
I think Ryan's the most recent, though. Do you want to tell us what you got up to today?
I'll make this quick because I think you've got a better driving story than I, Lindsay. But got the GT4 out today. Beautiful day. It was like 73 degrees.
Oh my
there's a whole
gosh.
other story there. Maybe the world is ending. But got out for a drive and
But in the
went up
meantime,
Golden Gate
you're going to go
Canyon.
for a drive.
I'm going to get some driving. Well, I've got a service coming up in this car, and it's due new tires, but I'm not quite there, so I'm trying to burn off.
You're trying to get there
past
more
down
quickly?
the wear bars. Yeah. So decided to go up to Golden Gate Canyon, if you know Golden Gate here in Denver, and was immediately behind a 4Runner rolling roadblock with a bumper sticker that said, "Please let me merge. My mom is dead," which I should have known that's their kind of humor, that they were not going to get out of my way. They then proceeded to do 27 miles an hour up the whole canyon. When I finally had a chance to pass, my Valentine 1 started going off, KA band, and the only vehicle I saw was a red pickup truck. And I said, surely this, must be a, junk signal or something. No, if you live here in the Denver area, watch out, because it must be Clear Creek County, but up there by Golden Gate State Park, there are at least 2 unmarked pickup trucks, Ford F-150 or 250s. One's red, one's white. They don't even have government plates on them, no visible lights or anything, one black antenna on the top, and they were both shooting KA band, and they wanted to get me so bad. And it turned into this game where, like, he'd pull off, so I'd pull off behind him, well, who's going to go first,
After you. No, after you.
Man,
no,
yeah,
after
it's just,
you.
yeah, all I wanted was a drive. So beware.
You don't ask for much, right?
I don't ask for much. Sometimes the stars align, and other times they don't. And today was one of those days. But any day behind the wheel is still better than sitting at home or sitting in office or anything like that. But
that is true.
You had an amazing drive, because I saw pictures, and you talk about like juxtapositions of cars, right?
I know,
like driving
right?
together, right? You had a couple fun ones out.
Yeah. So my daughter had, and your daughter may have had this, there's a midwinter break in a lot of schools, and hers was a couple weeks ago. And so 5 days off, and we usually will try to go to Utah for a family ski trip and like get the cousins together and all that. Southern Utah really does not have snow right now. So we ended up pivoting and just going to Orange County. Just, that's still a vacation for us.
Same but different.
Beautiful. Yeah. Right. So the plan was like, okay, we're not skiing. Let's just focus on family time. And I'm very lucky that my whole family loves to go for a drive. So we ended up getting to do 2 really like just magical drives. And actually both were very unique 2-car solutions. The first one was just Tori and my daughter and I and one of the dogs, and we took Tori's Bad Temper 2 Bug and my parents' F-250 pickup truck. So it was a study in contrasts. We went into like people in Orange County in Southern California will be familiar with San Diego Canyon Road, and then off of that is Silverado Canyon and Majeska Canyon, and all 3 of them wonderful driving roads. There's a place called Cook's Corner, which is off of San Diego Canyon, which you may or may not have heard of, but it opened in 1884, actually. And it is considered to be one of the most famous biker hangouts and restaurants in Southern California. And I remember, my dad and I, when we would go do canyon drives when I was in high school, we would go by Cook's Corner. So my daughter got to see it. But we took the Bug and the truck. And, it was a beautiful sunny day in Southern California. The roads were wide open. And the truck is not your typical like canyon carver. And it's a diesel. The throttle's pretty sensitive. So you can, like, even if you're stepping on it gently, it revs pretty quickly. So I gave myself the challenge, like, okay, this is not your typical car that you'd go for a canyon cruise. I'm going to try and drive it as smoothly as possible, like keep it as balanced as I can, because it's a heavy vehicle, and like drive it as smoothly as possible without losing any extra speed, windy, tight turns. One of the roads was very, very narrow with like trees hanging over, and, it made it a really fun, engaging drive. And I had one of the dogs was with us, and she likes to sit on the console. So that was a good barometer. Like if I can keep her stable and not sliding all over the place.
It's weird because she's a German Shepherd.
Super strange. But, those F-250s are good size, right? And it's so fun, as you guys know, to just go for a drive with other cars that are kind of put a group together and go drive together. Yeah. So that made it really fun to have, Tori and I together driving. And I haven't been back on those roads in a long time. Yeah, one of them, we turned to go onto this one canyon, and there were 2 horses coming down the road. So
really,
so it was like we just didn't know what we were going to find. It was, it's so nice, especially we've all lived in climates where there are seasons where driving is not, feasible, and we're kind of in the middle of that in the Pacific Northwest. So it was really nice to get to do that this time of year. And, it's just nice to get out and get behind the wheel and be in the sun and just be out.
So for those not aware, what is Bad Temper 2 and why is it called Bad Temper 2?
So it is the second bad temper. There was a bad temper, and it was red. And this
We're on
is
the state the obvious bit, but go on.
right. So this is bad temper 2. So
Really bad temper.
yeah, extra bad temper now with extra bad temper. So it was a bug that was put together for those that are familiar with VWs. It was one of the cowl look bugs, which had illustrations on the side or lettering, and they had names, most of them. And a lot of them were drag raced, I believe. So this is a drag bug. And it was big in the LA scene in the 80s. At one point, it was abandoned. Someone had built it, took care of it, and then sold it. And then somebody he knew found it years later, totally abandoned on the street in LA.
They lost their temper.
They lost their temper and abandoned the car. And he ended up getting reconnected with it. It was restored. But yeah.
But it's like an iconic
is.
car, right? If you're in the know. And
yeah,
aren't there heartbeat lines and all kinds of 80s kind of stuff?
There was a pink one.
Oh,
there was a pink one. There was the original the red bad temper.
Okay.
Then this one, bad temper 2, which is actually grabber blue, which is a Ford Mustang color. So, the signs were that it was written in the stars. But yeah, so Tori's the caretaker of it now, and I am now too, but it's a super fun car. And so the second drive that we took over the weekend, which was the other, unique 2-car solution, was Bad Temper 2 and the 289 Shelby Cobra. And those 2 cars are evenly matched in terms of driving on the street spiritedly. Really? And we had a great time. Yeah, there was a comment from the Cobra that they didn't realize the bug was as fast as it is.
Do you think Carroll Shelby is turning in his grave now? Because in essence, he's spent all this time and investment on developing this car, and someone's come along and put an engine in a Beetle and
right.
has matched it.
No, you know what? I think Carroll would be thrilled because I heard him say this, and my parents heard him say this a few times. He built these cars to be driven. And so I think he would be so thrilled to see that we're actually out enjoying the car, and my daughter rode in it, and the next generation is enjoying it. And you should have seen, we took those 2 and my parents and my daughter and Tori and I, and we all went to Crystal Cove, and that was the start of one of the big Cars and Coffees, and then it moved to the Ford headquarters. But people still go just because Southern California is such a car culture. So they'll still stop in for coffee.
Yeah.
And so there's always a good, small, but sort of a high value gathering of cars.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to see the reaction when we pulled in the cars, because the crowd around the Cobra, it was so fun. And all these people came up with stories like, oh, my dad was really into these, or, my family had one. And
so how many people ask you if it's real at an event like that? You
a
must
lot.
Get that.
A lot.
And
yeah.
then when you say yes,
right.
They are.
And part of it too is we're kind of in and out, getting coffee and looking at the other cars that were there. I mean, it was an amazing morning there outside of what, we showed up in.
Right.
My dad was probably with it the most, just talking to people. But as he and I were getting in it to go home, this man came up and he's like, is it real? And, he shared his family had a GT350, and I think he'd had a Cobra connection, but he was stunned, speechless, because you don't really see them out often. So that was really cool.
That's cool.
Now, I hear that one of the ways to tell, and I'm no expert on these, is to do with the indicator stalks. Is that right?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm still,
Okay,
I'm still learning too. And there are some tells, and a lot of the replica companies, there's a nameplate and it'll say, Superformance or, some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Factory 5 is another one that's well regarded, but I will find out.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was at the old place up in there
In
was a
Malibu.
gentleman with a real one. And I said, how do you tell? And he said it was something to do with the indicator stalks. So maybe if folks are listening and they know, maybe they could drop a comment and let us know, how do you tell if it's a real Cobra or a kit car?
I will ask my source. But
go on.
no, I wanted to share the other cars that we got to see that day. Just quickly, so there was a Velocity Bronco in this amazing metallic root beer brown, absolutely gorgeous. There were 10 to 15 modern M3 and M4s that all showed up together. It was the M Armada, and that was really fun.
I bet you heard them coming.
We did. There was a beautiful red 2002. There was a GT3 and a GT4 RS. There was one of the Porsche Taycan Turbo GTs in the purple sky metallic, which was their launch color, I think.
Yeah.
And those are 1,092 horsepower. So
That's crazy.
that just stealthily went through the parking lot. We saw 2 bright blue Ferraris, which was unusual. There was an absolutely gorgeous 1960 Mercedes-Benz 220 SE, and it was a cab, and they only made 1,112 of those, of the cabriolets. And it had been restored. Absolutely gorgeous. Several GT3s, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Several G-Wagons. My favorite was like an acid birch green one. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Beautiful blue Bentley Cabriolet, a Riviera Blue 993, some Defenders, and a 918 Spider.
That's a well-rounded mix.
Yeah, we were like, I'm good.
Dan, were you there?
I was not. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No Superman spec Boxsters.
I know. Well, next time we'll have to coordinate. It was such a last-minute kind of thrown together trip, but next time we'll have to make it more official and let you know, and we can meet up.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. I've had a couple of press cars lately.
Do tell.
First one, muscle car, was an automatic this time, Mustang Dark Horse.
Right on.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what did you think, having had the manual? What are your thoughts now?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I've driven the EcoBoost, the regular V8 GT, the Dark Horse manual, and the Dark Horse Auto. So I think I've got the full gambit covered.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my favorite, I think, is the V8 GT manual.
Really?
The Dark Horse is just too powerful for the road. This is over 500 horsepower. There may be a video featuring it on the CarWow website right now, which is the same car. I had to get it, basically bring it back after the shoot.
Right.
And so it had been completely used as it was intended. And then I got the keys. But I just don't think, I think it's too powerful.
Sorry, there's a joke there somewhere.
Which bit?
Used as intended, then you get tossed the keys.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the jokes practically write themselves.
Yeah. Well, they do in Ryan's head. So yeah, fun car, but like, it was just too, like, you just feathered the...
Well, you couldn't fully unspool it and really enjoy it, I think that's a lot of us run into that of like, okay, if you can't enjoy it, if it's meant to be driven at the track and you can't fully enjoy it, because most of your drives are going to be not track drives.
So it must be the way it delivers the power, right?
It's the way it delivers the power, the balance of the car. I just think the balance of that V8 is better.
Yeah. Interesting.
I know they're both V8s, but the GT. I did like a couple of the technology features. So it had a really non-intrusive lane discipline thing. You know how
that's cool.
A lot of them are like, and you just get rumbled.
Right.
This was more like suggestive, and I like that.
It was like,
They keep coming, Dan.
Other lane.
It sounds like it was sort of a
shows you a
polite.
little ankle or what?
What has Ryan been drinking tonight? That's what I want to know.
You know,
What is in the
this is the one that
kombucha?
I'm not drinking.
Yeah,
Thank you, Costco. Yeah.
the cough.
It's a different kind of shot, but it's having the same effect.
Yeah, my digestive system is clean as a whistle.
So that was the Dark Horse. I think that the GT is the better car.
Interesting.
Is a more usable car. Like on the freeway, again, you just couldn't put the power down. You know,
You just get the tires spinning and
it's more like gentle throttle is enough, more than enough to propel you to where you need to go.
Yeah.
So there's no point in planting it because you just can't. So that was the first one, and we drove up about 400 miles for this film shoot. So I decided that on the way back I would take the automatic, and on the way up I would take the Integra Type S.
Oh, I'm dying to hear what you thought about that.
Yeah, have either of you driven one?
Not yet.
I've driven is it the TSX Type S? Is that
a TLX?
TLX rather? That's right. Right. This isn't 2001. Yeah.
And that was a manual?
No, it was an automatic. The one I drove. But I liked it very much. It's a great car.
Well, this is the cousin of the Civic Type R. right? So they are very similar in everything they do. A lot of people say that the Integra is more refined. I would agree with that, apart from the fact that the seats weren't as good. So I think Honda now are like really famous for having great seats.
Right.
The gear change is very similar, almost identical, position, etc. If you were to say to me, like, you've got the choice between the two cars, which keys you go for, I think the Integra is a more fun car.
Interesting.
And I know that's probably going to alienate a load of Mustang fans. But
I don't think a lot of people realize that these cars exist, both the TLX and the Integra, and they are just wonderful cars, like in the very best sort of like old school way. I mean, the tech's all there and all that, but there's an authenticity to them, right? Like they drive exactly like you think they're going to drive, and they sort of drive like cars used to drive, right? There's a directness, quality in every control and touch point. That's just, I don't think Honda gets all the credit they deserve, and Acura, I think, just sort of lives in this weird sort of like zone where they're just not on people's radar anymore,
Certainly not as much, I think, as they used to be.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you guys do too, when Acura was new, right? And
Yeah.
what a game changer it was, Give Acura a chance. They're really good cars. They're really good cars.
It is a great car. It really is. It's an unsung hero, I think, because most people don't know about it, as you say. It's like a little go-kart. It's so much fun. Like, I would recommend it.
And front-wheel drive, which, damn impressive for a front-wheel drive car with, what is that, 300 horsepower?
About 340, I think.
340. I mean, to be able to push that through your front wheels with such control and sort of poise. And so.
And it does it well. Like, you didn't get, so a lot of cars that are front-wheel drive, you get the torque steer when you put your foot down, and everything starts, I took it down a drag strip and it was perfect. Gear changes were perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm fascinated with the science of torque steer, and I don't know that I've ever quite wrapped my head around it. Back in the day, I had a 2000 Volvo S40. I think it had 160 horsepower, but it was to the front wheels, and if you floored it, that thing would just, turn. I mean, you really had to fight against it. But now we have these cars with more than double the horsepower, and you don't pick up on torque steer at all. So, like, what have they done in recent years to dial that out? Do you have any ideas on the science behind that?
They're magicians. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Saabs. That was always a big thing with Saabs too, right? That was always with the Vigan, right? When the Vigan came out, and it was ostensibly this competitor to like the M3 or the S4, and it was a neat car, quirky, but that was always the hit against it, that it had like this incredible torque steer, and so.
There were Vauxhalls in the UK the same. They just had too much torque steer. You couldn't get the power down. You couldn't appreciate the car in the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
But there aren't that many quick front-wheel drive cars anymore, are there? I think the Golf GTI is potentially one. I'm not sure we could name more than 5.
Yeah.
If that.
I mean, everything's all-wheel drive.
Maybe there's a Hyundai N of some sort. There's front-wheel drive, the Elantra.
Yeah, I want to say that's all-wheel drive though. The N spec.
The Elantra, or
I think aren't all the N spec
we need
cars?
to go to our research department and ask them. Do we need to put money on it? Do we want to?
I'm going to say that they're all-wheel drive, all N spec cars.
The Elantra N all-wheel drive. I don't think it is. So I think.
Okay. No, I mean, show some.
And I am happy to moderate the bet.
It does not come with all-wheel drive.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
front-wheel drive.
We'll just start a running tally of you owe me a beer, I owe you a beer.
Yeah.
I think I owe Dan a few beers at this point, but now we know. Now we know. But
so I don't think I could name more than 5 cars that are front-wheel drive, have a bit of power, but I think the Civic has the record going around the Nürburgring still.
Yeah.
So I think it's
record for a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
It's a great car, and I imagine that this is just sort of a more grown-up version of that, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I thought we would change subjects and talk a little bit about what's the right phrase? Is it like flogging a horse? Is it squeezing a lemon? This year, wait for it. This year is 25 years of the Fast and Furious franchise, and the well-known shoe company Puma have a set of, you guys would call them tennis shoes, I'd call them trainers.
Trainers, yeah.
Tennis
Have
shoes.
a set of trainers that are tribute to the cars in the movies. I kid you not, right?
Yeah.
So,
they are a sight to behold.
yeah. Have you seen them, Ryan?
No, I've not.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think you need to pause for a minute and do a search for Suzuki's Honda S2000 Puma shoe.
All right.
Uh-huh.
And while you're doing that, like there's the full set.
Okay.
Right.
They've done a contribution or a tribute to each car that was in the movies.
Oh, wow, Dan. Let me see
right.
yours.
So you guys
not
are
wearing
knowing,
them tonight.
yeah. Like there's the orange one for the Supra.
Yeah, I kind of. Well, no, I'm just zoomed in. Those are not. Who are these for?
True fans of the
There's a
Fast
lot
and
going
Furious
on there.
franchise.
Yeah,
Me and all of my F&F brethren.
Also, 25 years. This is
I know.
where
I
we
was
are.
just. I'm like,
Oh my
I
God.
remember when the first one came out.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jorge would rock a pair of these shoes, our buddy from Tormenting Tarmac, because when we were last in LA, he had to make a pilgrimage to.
That's right.
Neptune.
He did,
Yeah,
didn't he?
He can answer all the trivia, you know.
Yeah.
Jorge, if you're listening.
That's where they ended after Brian drag races the Ferrari. They go to Neptune's net in the movie.
Right.
I want to know how old Jorge was when the movie came out. I kind of do want to know and I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Just because he was probably about 12 or something.
Right. Did he see it in real time or did it come later? But what a force, right? Like what a half-life, right? That
I
that
know.
movie, that
Well,
series has had.
yeah, when you think about kind of what they thought or like what the expectation was when they were making it
Yeah.
and what the franchise, nobody expected it to be. Like they're making another one as we speak.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that 25 years on they'd still be making new movies?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all about
Dan and I are still waiting for our Stand By Me Adidas. So
that's right.
So in the meantime, you'll console
Save our
yourselves with
dollars.
the Fast and Furious Pumas. So if you guys had to wear one of this lineup, which ones would you choose? Because I know which ones I would choose.
Well, I'm looking at pink. I'm looking at kind of an electric blue, right?
Right.
I'm looking at
With the
orange.
silver
Are
accents,
there others? Is there like a
There's
nice
a bright
white?
green.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bright green. I did see a note that they were sad there wasn't one that was a direct tribute to Han's car in Tokyo Drift. That was a suggestion for when Puma brings out Fast and Furious 2.0 that they be sure to include that one.
So I don't want to, burst anyone's bubble here, but I also saw an ad pop up on my Instagram the other day for a line of Pumas dedicated to the musical group The Smiths. And they have lines of lyrics down the side. I don't know if these are one-offs or if these are also a Puma, officially licensed product, but I'm they might just be doing anything anymore, right? I'm thinking that car show
feels
Pumas.
a little bit like throwing spaghetti against the wall.
Yeah.
Over at
if
Puma.
you're listening, we could put the logo on some shoes. They would sell in their hundreds.
In Peru and South Korea.
That's right. And then just target those markets.
Right. We have a captive audience who are ready and waiting for That Car Show high tops. We're just waiting for the call from Puma.
The stingiest automotive company award may go to, or at least a contender, is Ford.
Yeah. Man.
So Ford obviously have got a number of electric cars, but I think, Lindsay, you saw that they're actually taking a leaf out of BMW's book and
right.
charging the customer more if they want more.
Yeah. And what's wild is that ultimately the overall price of the car is going up, but not for the reason that goods usually go up, like inflation and et cetera. So they've decided to make the insert that makes the frunk a frunk, like makes the front part of it usable. That insert now costs $495 if you want it, and it's not standard in any of the packages.
So
And the base price of the cars has been reduced by $50, but the frunk insert costs $495. So the overall price of the car goes up if you want something that used to be standard. And what I thought was so fascinating, and I'm curious if this really is the case or if it's just what they've decided to, package this decision, is they said the designers had learned that a lot of owners were not using the frunk So they decided to make the insert not a standard option. But, it just leaves me with a lot of questions. And I feel like, again, like you said, Dan, it smacks of BMW saying they were going to start a subscription for heated seats or different options. And I think there's something to that in the sense of if it meant that in the cooler, like in the warmer months, you're not having to pay extra for your heated seats, sure. But there's got to be a better way to present it to the public, to us, the drivers, where it doesn't just feel like a money grab.
Yeah, the one that gets me is the Mach-E Rally, which is a car I'd love to drive.
Yeah,
Right.
those are cool.
I've heard really good things about those.
If you want the spoiler now and the graphics pack, it's another $1,000.
Yeah.
Right. And that used to be what set it apart. That was how you
Yeah.
knew it
Right.
was the rally.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like, if you don't want it, you save $1,000. It's that you do
Right.
have to pay another $1,000. This
Yeah.
this tray. So if I were to go to one of these Mach-E's without the tray now, would I just see wires and coolant
Yeah, I
lines
think
and
it's
things?
just like unfinished.
Okay.
Like
okay.
you couldn't use it to put cargo in without this insert that makes it a frunk.
Sure. So I guess like our Polestar has a frunk. I don't think it's nearly as capacious as the one in the Mach-E, but I've never even
Sure.
thought to use it, right? Because there's plenty of room in the back. But I've driven other EVs where, for whatever reason, that's the go-to storage space. So is it I assume it's a big area. I assume
I would
that,
guess just from looking at the car, like I haven't
Right,
looked
right.
at one, and I mean that's a good perspective from you actually have an EV and you don't think to use the frunk. Like maybe that's true, and it's just force of habit. We're still getting used to the idea that there isn't an engine in the front of the car,
yeah.
and we're having to remind ourselves to go use it. It just feels like self-fulfilling.
Well, that's
Like if you're making it unusable, then people aren't going to use it.
It's just, guys, it's just this constant nickel and diming to death, right? And it's just
Yeah.
smacks of that. And it's just like, when will it stop?
Right.
Just be straightforward. Tell me what the car costs and let it be done. And what is this, like a Rubbermaid container? Like how complicated a piece of plastic can this be, right? I mean, there's got to be a workaround, right? I don't know.
Right.
It's just,
People are
it's
going to,
like,
people are going to be making their own
short-term-
frunk inserts for less than $495.
It's just, it's like when you stay at any hotel now, then there's like the $50 a night resort fee, right? This isn't
Right.
a resort.
Right. And
This
what do I
is
get
the
for that?
Courtyard Inn in Iowa.
Like, man,
Yeah.
this is a Motel 6.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
it's just, come on.
Oh, it's
Come
crazy.
on.
I know.
Absolutely crazy.
It just seems cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I don't know off the top of my head how you present that in a way that feels good. If it's something that used to be standard and you're now getting charged for it, like
Yeah.
that scenario doesn't
It's-
ever feel good, regardless of the context.
No.
But it just sounds stingy, and it feels like if they're trying to save, let's just say they're trying to save money, that feels like something like if you're selling an EV without an insert and you can't use the front of it, it feels like the car's not complete too. I think
Yeah.
that's the bigger thing for me is
Yeah.
like you said, Ryan. So what do you have? Bare, wiring and insulation.
It is this push to, I've talked about this before on the show where, the cheaper models of cars will have wheels that are just, so ugly. There's no way you'd ever want to drive that thing around with those wheels. So you feel obligated to upgrade, right? And I really feel like the wheels are designed to be ugly. And I've got to dump on my favorite car brand here for a minute, but Porsche. Have you seen some of the wheels on the newest 911s? They're hideous. They don't look like they fit on the car. They look almost like aero wheels or something. So when you look into the spokes, instead of seeing the barrel of the wheel, there's almost like a rim that comes up an inch or two, and they look awful, And I hate to say it, but I think Porsche's finally kind of doing what other companies. Well, they've been doing it on the sorry, the electric Porsche. I can't think of the name of it. The
Taycan.
Taycan?
The Taycan. Look at especially when that car first came out. Look at the wheel designs on the lower end. They were absolutely awful. And the fact that that's carried out over now to the 911 is kind of pathetic. But again, it's this mentality where no one's going to want to, no one's going to want to be seen without their trunk liner, right? Because, their neighbors are going to say, who is this cheap guy, right? I mean, so you're going to do it whether you use it or not. And it's just, it's just so cheap. You guys are both old enough to remember when you get a lower level car and there'd be like blank caps and things.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Well, and they were just talking about this on Spike this morning in one of I think it was a Subaru, where there's a space where on some of them there is a feature and on some of them it's like a blank cover. And they were debating, they'd heard a rumor that the guts of the feature, if you were able to pry this cover off and get a button that would make the connection, the guts are still there. So they were debating the merits of that. But it is funny where you are in, like at one point there was an Expedition and an Explorer in my family, and one of them had the compass up above and the other one just it was just blank plastic, and you're like, well, we know what could be there, but it's not.
No.
Well, and the other interesting thing about, I know they were doing crazy deals on Mach-E's recently, seemingly because they weren't really moving, and so this feels like counterproductive. If you want people to try the cars out, you're going to make it less attractive.
Yeah, and there was benefits because of the tariffs as well. There was discounts, wasn't there? That was the other thing.
Yeah.
You just guys reminded me of, so I had my car going for a service last week, and the only reason I raised this is because of like value for money, etc.
This is the Porsche.
So this is the Audi.
Oh, the Audi. Okay.
The Audi. So this was, in theory, it was the 50,000 mile service. Okay. In reality, the car's only done 32,000. But
is it a time period or mileage?
Yeah.
32,000 Dan miles.
Well, I don't know, because I think at least 1,000 were done by you, Ryan.
It was a group effort. Yeah. When did you want me to pick it up so I can put my 1,000 on it?
Whenever you like. Whenever you like.
Use it up and hand them the keys.
Just don't put it up against Bad Temper 2, because I don't think it will compete. But
There's
anyway,
only one way to find out.
I took it in for a service, and I don't know if this is the norm now, but I was presented with 3 service options. Was the first thing. Which one would you like, sir? The cheapest one.
Again, the jokes write themselves.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I kid you. Well, have a guess how much a service is on an Audi SQ5.
And this was just a standard 50,000 mile.
Yeah, that's about when they start to fall apart. You know this, right?
Oil, like tire rotation, but no gearbox oil or anything like that.
It shouldn't be more than $300, but I'm going to say $900 for the cheapest option.
Double it.
You're kidding me. What are they doing?
Making a profit out of me for a start. But my point is,
they're telling it how pretty it is.
I got a loaner, which is great.
Yeah.
That evening, the car was ready and I had work commitments. So I said, could I pick it up the next day?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we'll get it washed for you as well. I was like, what? You weren't going to wash it?
Yeah. Now you're talking to the guy who explicitly instructs them to not wash the car. So, and yet they do. Right.
You would ask the Polestar to be washed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No.
Have you been to a Polestar dealership? Didn't we talk about this? The Polestar dealership is the Volvo dealership, but you don't get to go into the Volvo entrance. They sort of shuttle you around and back where there isn't a sign, and then you stand there for 30 minutes until the one guy that's doing everything from welcoming customers to doing the actual work on the cars comes over in a sweat and greets you. It's the last thing I want is that guy washing the car.
They're like, nope, you over here.
But no, it's so that was the cheapest option, Dan.
Yeah.
What do you get for your Do
they do a musical number for you?
I was so offended. I didn't even look.
That's just sad.
Give me the cheapest option.
So I'll give you another story. Porsche Colorado Springs. So I've got this GT4. It's a 2020, and I was living in a little bit of fear because I knew that its first major service was coming up. Right. And my usual service guy is on leave, and so it was given to someone else. A guy I've worked with before, great guy, but not my usual person. And I just expected him to say, "Well, it's finally time to get that that major service." But he said, "Well, how many miles do you have?" And I told him. He's like, "Oh, no, you're good. You're fine. Just you need an oil change and probably a brake fluid service." And I, thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Because I would have, just assumed I needed this major service. And I know we're just pushing off to next year, but the oil change on that, Dan, was I think $390. And the
Yeah.
GT4 is a car, well, like, as you both know, these are cars where you have a lot of underbody panels that have to come off, right? I mean, this is no 5-minute oil change. This is a process. And so I thought 390 was not terrible. And the fact that it's less than half what they quoted you on an SQ5 seems, with a smaller engine, right? I mean, it's not, these Porsches, the NA engines have a ton of oil and all that. I mean, this is a 2.8 turbo or something, 3.2 turbo on the
3
yeah,
liter.
yeah. Where's the complication here? Like, what are you doing?
I just didn't get it. I would have loved if they had. So I am 3 weeks left on my warranty. And the other sign of a good dealer is like, hey, this is probably touch and go on the warranty, but we'll do it for you anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
None of that. Absolutely none of that. So,
That's
Well,
frustrating.
speaking of trunk liners in Porsche Colorado Springs, I got to give them another plug, because right before this car went out of warranty, I took it in. I said, take a look and do whatever you need to do. And, they looked at it very thoroughly, can't really find anything, but your trunk liner up front is sort of pulling away. Let's replace that. And I'm sure that was no cheap piece. And so they replaced the whole front liner for me. No issue. So,
That's awesome.
there is a difference, isn't there? And,
Dan, has that been your experience, like when you serviced, because is that the first experience you've had servicing it in LA?
yeah.
And was it like that when you were in Seattle, like dealer experience wise?
What was the oil change there?
It was nowhere near as expensive.
Yeah.
So I think the experience is much better up in Seattle.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good experience with the Porsche, because the Porsche went in for service. No major concerns, a loan car.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this before, at least at the Porsche dealership I like to frequent. These people are sent away to be trained in customer service. They go to like a Four Seasons for a week, and they're trained by the Four Seasons customer service staff on how to treat your customer. And I don't understand why more brands, especially premium brands, and I think Audi's up there too, don't pay attention to that. It's just, at the end of the day, people's loyalties are fickle, and you can go anywhere. And something like a bad experience, like feeling like you got ripped off or something's enough to push me to another brand. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. So
I think luxury extends beyond the car, right? That's
there you go.
Because go on, Lindsay.
No, I was going to say, I agree. And I think Porsche stands out in, they really do focus on including you in the lifestyle. And, think of other, like, I think they're probably the first brand who do, they do events like social events at the dealership, and they want you to come back, and they want to have a long-standing relationship with you, because they know it's worth the investment. It's worth investing in their people and having their people go to the Four Seasons and all of that. Because if you have a positive experience, you're going to keep coming back. And if you have a negative experience, you're going to talk about it on your podcast.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Toyota wanted to charge me $70 a day for a loan car. That's when I had the Corolla. That's like
bros.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just a Corolla, right? I mean,
right.
It was a GR, right? I mean, so you're at a price point where that shouldn't even be to charge you for a rental car. It's just,
no, it's ridiculous.
It's obscene.
I think we need to switch gears and talk about some good stuff, because so far we've been on Ford.
We'll edit out all the
servicing. We're
negativity
downer today, aren't we? Let's talk about one of my favorite car brands, Ferrari.
Yes.
And that thing we do where we go in the DeLorean and we go back to peak whatever. This time around we'll go Ferrari. So you're going to go and pick up a peak Ferrari. What was peak Ferrari and why? And Ryan sounds like he's done most of the homework on this one, so maybe you can go first while Lindsay and I think.
I love Ferraris as much as the next guy or gal. I never have owned one. Let me list the reasons. But I think growing up it was obviously a poster car and this and that, and I think it'd be really easy to say I'm going to go back to I don't know, the 50s and buy a GTO or something. But for me, the year that really matters is 1987, right? And I think you both know that was the year the F40 was released. But what's interesting is they had 4 other cars in the lineup that year. So they had the 328, you get the GTS or the GTB, right? You could get the 400i, still remember that one?
Yep.
The 400i, the funky wedge,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
square. Yeah.
which is finally getting its due. The prices on those have shot way up. I've always liked those. I always had a thing for them. I thought they were cool, but can't afford one of those now either. The Mondial, and I think it was a 3.2 by 1987. So I think it was, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was, you're finally like getting into the Mondials that you really want, right? You could get that as a coupe or convertible, I think, in 87 still. And then of course they were still doing the Testarossa. So, that was a pretty robust lineup. Of course, the F40 just, blew them all out of the water. But, think about it. No turbos. Everything was manual except for maybe that 400i. If you checked the wrong box, right? I mean, it was a pretty damn good lineup. But I think 2013 puts up a pretty good fight, because 2013, I think, was the last year of NA across the board. I think 2014 was the first year of the turbo. The 458 Speciale was 2013. Also a pretty great lineup. But just being a child of the 80s, it's 1987 for me in Ferrari. It's just checks off the most boxes.
Challenge you on that?
Yeah.
So I think you said that none of them were turbos.
Well, sorry, the F40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's another beer on the line.
Yes,
There we go.
yes, yeah.
Answer carefully.
Yeah.
Yes. So the F40 was turbocharged, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
I honestly, that may have even not, was it 88 even before that was brought to the States? I don't know. It was probably late 87 if I recall, but that was a hell of a lineup.
We'll give you
right?
late 80s as an answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Lindsay, do you want to go next? Can you beat that?
Sure. So I have 3 answers, which will surprise no one.
It's a storied mark. What can you say?
It is a storied mark.
Yeah.
And, I had to, like, when I started thinking about the question, I went, okay, what pops to mind? So my very first TV show was Magnum PI. So, like, the first show that I remember watching, and I remember that from when I was a little bitty kid, as my dad would say. So that made quite an impression on me. And obviously Magnum had the 308. So 1980 is when Magnum came out. So I would say that was a significant moment for Ferrari. I would also say the Testarossa was a significant moment for them. It's such an iconic car. That car was produced between 84 and 91. So there's that. And then I think the Enzo is a pretty significant car.
Yeah.
That was 2002 to 2004. And I actually saw one of those driving on PCH in about 2004, actually.
Yeah, that must have been mind-blowing.
I was driving behind it and all of a sudden realized what I was seeing. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
So for those keeping track, PCH is the place to be. But obviously Ferrari's been around for a long, long, long time, and they've had several significant moments. But those are the moments that come to mind for me as far as defining moments for the brand.
Well, you, Dan?
Interesting. Well, I was at a car show on Sunday, and a gentleman brought along a Daytona Spider. And I just think the Daytona is, I think Ferrari went through a period of making race cars for the road, which were beautiful. But the convertible with the V12 and it's just a thing of beauty. So V12 plus a beautiful car, I think. And those cars, I think, originally came out in the 60s, but it wasn't till the 70s where they were kind of really sort of perfection, so I think it's the Daytona Spider in the early 70s. So, and again, it's interesting. We've gone for different eras.
No.
I know.
And you should buy one, Dan. They're a little soft right now from what I hear. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that your addition to the BS market list?
That's right.
It's for this week.
Well, we should each get one, right? And, well, that's an intro.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't know if I fit in one, but yeah.
I bet you do. That's an interesting car because, back in the day, so many of the coupes were turned into cabs, right? So I think the move might be to find a nice coupe, but
an unmolested
cool.
example, as they say.
That's right.
I think one was used in the Cannonball Run, not the film, the actual Cannonball Run.
Yeah, that's right. This is true. Yeah, read all about it in Car and Driver back in the day. So
yeah, with Brock Yates and Dan
right.
Gurney.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So
can you imagine Can you imagine, like, in period, doing that trip, just balls out for better, for lack of a better, way of saying it, in that car from coast to coast, those two, right? Talk about recording a podcast in a car, right?
Yeah.
Can you
And in the
imagine?
70s, there was obviously a lot less traffic. Imagine that. It would
A lot
just
less
be
traffic.
freedom, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Cops, rudimentary speed control, right?
Right.
I think that was the era of, like, once you hit the state line, you were free.
Right.
At least that's what the
Yeah.
movies taught me. So,
Yeah.
that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Yeah. Does Ferrari still do it for you, like, with their current lineup? Obviously, they're nice cars and they're fast and all that, but is there anything in their current lineup that really touches you? Like, I mean, that really makes
He's
you want
back.
it?
He's
Speaking
back.
of jokes.
Yeah. Lindsay?
So I don't know the models as well as I wish I did, but I think some of the new ones are really beautiful. I think it's sort of an era of extremes for them, and obviously it's subjective, but some of them I think are gorgeous and some of them are not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say, they're still like, I think they're still very special cars. I think the brand is so special and I wouldn't turn one down.
The Dolce Cilindro, which is
Oh,
is almost
yeah.
like a new Daytona.
Yeah.
I'd love to drive one of those.
Yeah, I
That would
think
be-
those. Yeah. They're all just so big, And I remember when the FF came out, people said that about that car. Well, that doesn't seem so big now, and
Right.
that's a car that never really did it for me when it was new, but I think are really cool. I've seen a couple of them in winter here in Colorado on winter tires. They're all-wheel drive. They're just, it's like, how baller is that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my V12 Ferrari, and
Get
Don't
some
mind
ounces.
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. So.
No,
I love that.
I'm with you. I think they're cool. I think they're cool.
A lot of car
What
for
a-
the money currently. So.
Lots of top tips today on the bullshit list. We've got the Daytona. We've got the GT4 Lusso and the FF.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
Yeah.
Ferrari heavy segment.
Yeah.
what have we got coming up in the next few weeks? Much?
Gosh.
I think Avance has an event this weekend and just hoping for some good weather. Maybe get out for a drive.
Well, not the Fat Ice Race. That's going on this weekend. And, we will not be there.
Next year.
Just didn't get it together to make that happen. Speaking of Avance, I want to give Avance a quick shout out because my GT4 needs new tires. And if you are an Avance member, and I am, you can get a 10% discount off the top of I think pretty much any tire at Discount Tire. And then you get an additional 10% rebate if they're Michelin's. And so
Right.
if you're spending $2,500 on 4 tires, that's a significant amount of money. You've got to order the tires in person at a Discount Tire, but beyond that, you can have them shipped to your installer or wherever. So, well worth the price of admission. I think it's about $100, maybe $150 a year for Avance.
Yeah, it's between
And
100 and 150.
pays for
but,
itself, one set of tires
absolutely.
and some. So anyway,
Yeah, that discount.
yet another
is-
top tip.
Right.
So
So you'll be getting tires and then going for another drive to find
I hope so.
what was the Toyota that we got stuck behind?
Oh, a Forerunner,
Find
it's-
another Forerunner.
Yeah.
Or
The
investigating more counties with stealth patrol cars.
The problem is, even in the 10 years, 12 years, whatever, that I've lived in Denver, the traffic has gotten so much worse. These sort of like near canyon roads, which used to be our go-tos, are just that much more heavily trafficked. And then in turn, you get more enforcement. And so you've got to cast the net further. Well, even though we haven't had much of a winter anywhere beyond sort of this near net means there's snow and ice and everything else. I tried to go up the peak to peak today. And if you are local, the peak to peak. I got to the second corner and had to slam on the brakes because it was all ice. And it was 73 in Denver today. So that's what you're dealing with if
Oh,
you're
wow.
in Colorado. But yeah. Dan, you?
I'm just trying to think. Next weekend I'm going for a bit of a road trip, taking the Porsche out.
Nice.
My plans had changed. I was going to Daytona for the bikes.
That's right.
But I've pulled the plug on that, and I've got relatives from the UK going to Palm Springs.
Oh.
So I'm going to take a couple of days to get there and probably go out to Ojai and do some
Yeah.
crazy stuff,
Yeah.
and then come into
Oh.
Palm Springs.
There are a
Well,
couple
and
of
that's-
really great tiki bars in Palm Springs. So
Yeah?
do yourself a favor and investigate those while you're there. So
Well, that's
Wow.
the perfect Palm Springs car too. You can put the top down. That'll be
Yeah,
fantastic.
fun. It'll be
Might
fun.
might come home with a friend. It's Palm Springs, right?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I think on that
Gonna-
note, we need to make sure that we don't break Ryan into jail tonight. So
Uh,
I think that's the show, isn't it?
yeah, thank you.
I approve this message.
There we go. Who's going to take us out?
There
I
can be
do
only
it.
one.
It's very kind. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week for a crew show. I think we all had a really good time. We hope that you enjoy listening. And remember to tell your enthusiast friends, like and subscribe. In the meantime, always be driving, and we'll see you next week.